Hey everybody, how are you doing? It's Sunday night, so you know, it's FMTV Weekly. I am your host, Peter Brown, and of course, as always, I have to do this with my buddy Uncle Ed. Say hi, Ed. Oops.
How you doing, Peter Brown? How you doing? How's everything, man? Just excited, tired from my road trip to Orlando and watching that game. I'm telling you, man, I'm exhausted, but here we are to tell you guys what happened, and I'm sure you've seen the videos, Peter.
Yeah,
you've got
I've
a good guest,
videos.
by the way. Well.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to our guest David Valentin in a few minutes. Before that, we do want to give everybody a chance to jump into the chat, and we'll say hello to everybody in the chat. But yeah, Ed, the show, as I started prepping for it, I was planning on doing one show, right? And I even made the thumbnail specifically about one part of the show, right? That call. Or two calls, a VAR situation, right? That was really where my head was, and some player stuff and all that. Then on Twitter, I just see everything going crazy, and our guest David was involved with it. And I saw some videos, and all of a sudden the show takes a turn. Like, okay, there's a new direction the show has to go now, and so we're going to talk about that. And of course, we'll talk about there was a game too, so we'll talk about that as well. But Ed, why don't you take a minute and say hi to those people in the chat room?
Will do, Peter. I want to say hi to Alex Z, who's the first one that I saw on here. I don't know if anybody else was on before. Brian Proenza is also on here. Our good friend Spanish Bull, who's an Orlando fan, and his wife is an Inter Miami fan. So he's I'd love to talk to him and see how things went after that game. He probably slept on the couch, I imagine. Our good friend Eric Thomas is with us as well. One World, One Goal. We've got also Jazz Fusion, Jose Velasquez, Judge Dredd the Law, who's always in here.
He's also from Orlando area.
He is, true. Yeah, you're right. Isaías Maldonado, Julio Enriquez is also in here. And so far, that's it, Peter. So.
All right, here it says, Alex Z, it says, here we go, Spanish Bull's trolling Uncle Ed again.
I'm sure he is, man. Well, we're going to talk a lot of Orlando stuff right now as well, Peter, but maybe we should get to the sponsors.
And so, it's funny is last week when we were doing our live, it took us like 20 minutes in before I remembered the sponsors. And trust me, the sponsors enjoy when you do that. They notice. So let's say a big thank you to our friends, Caneswear. Caneswear is where you can go in Davie. Go to the store in Davie. They got a huge supply of all kinds of Inter Miami gear. You want Canes gear, Hurricanes. You want I think they've got some other Miami Dolphins and Marlins and Heat, all the Florida teams. But they got a whole wall full of Inter Miami gear. Best prices in town. Everything's been marked down. So go to Caneswear or go to Caneswear.com. Either one works. I know our friend One World, One Goal. She's always shopping online and posting her pics online as well. So if you buy anything from Caneswear, make sure you post your pics and tag Football Miami TV while you're at it. Let's also say a thank you to our lawyer if and when we have immigration questions. Vargas Law Group, Federico Vargas. Anytime you call them, you're going to go directly to Federico. You'll get a free consultation anytime you mention Football Miami TV. He's the guy to go to if you have any immigration questions. You got a family member that wants to come to this country and you need to know how to get that done, give him a call or go to vargaslaw.com. All right, Ed.
All right.
So, Ed, I want to set this up first. I got a few videos I want to play and a few humorous things and to play. And so, as we know, Inter Miami went up to Orlando to play our hated rivals, right? Or rivalry.
Our newly hated. We're just starting to get that rivalry.
We're trying to hate them though, right?
But it's
in a friendly
going
way.
in that direction, Peter,
I know.
because now it's starting to heat up.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong there, Ed. It's definitely starting to heat up. So there's some drama that we got to talk about. So some fan drama. There was drama on the field.
For your mama.
And when I was watching the game, I was thinking, this is the kind of game we need. We need a game with some contested calls and things like that. Little did I know, there was some things happening in the stands as well, and things that may not be very cool. So I want to get your perspective, Ed, because I know you drove up there to Orlando, and we're going to also get David's perspective as well, as he was there and he was involved with, I don't know, there was some sort of beer throwing that I saw some of his videos, and he might have been dodging some beer. I'm not exactly sure, but we're going to hear.
That's not cool. You don't want to dodge beer. You want to drink beer, and that's beer abuse, Peter.
It is beer abuse. Okay, so let me start off by playing this one video. Now, this video was posted by Vice City, so we're going to watch that. All right, I wanted to let that front part run twice because I wanted you guys to see the Vice City guys dragging Kingston, who is the team's mascot, dragging him. Looks like, I don't know, it looked like the Vice City guy was trying to get his head up his butt. It didn't look good, right? But it did not look cool at all. Now, I want to put this bit in a little bit of perspective, so I want to be fair to everybody. And here is a video that Kingston himself put out. So you can see in that video, Kingston is jumping around with the supporters, having fun with the supporters. And so we're going to talk about that in just a second. And now let's play this little video clip from our guest.
If you're a Miami fan, you were sitting in section 103, 4, or 5, and you were kicked out of the game tonight, and you were trespassed for the next 3 years, know that it was me, David Valentin, in section 3, that made such a big fuss to get you kicked out and banned from the stadium. You don't come to our house and act like an animal, and look at you. They kick you out, all 15 of you. They send you packing, and now you are gone for the next 3 years. Maybe in Fort Lauderdale, that's acceptable behavior, but you don't shower people with beer just because. And then you were very apologetic once you got caught. But I pressure the issue because I'm a season ticket holder, and you know what? I'm not gonna put up with that. You're lucky that it wasn't my wife or my children, or I would have beat you up myself. So I hope you enjoyed that 3-year ban. Bye.
All right, that was a great ending to the video. Bye. I gotta hand it to David. My wife enjoyed that as well. That's a good ending to the video. So at this point, let's welcome on our guest, David Valentin. How you doing, David?
Gentlemen, thank you for the invitation. And finally, people get to see the real me, not 180 characters or however many on Twitter. And I don't know, maybe I will change the perspective that a lot of people have about me. Or perhaps people will hate me even more.
All right.
Which, your hate gives me life. Thank you.
All right. It's fueled by hate. Okay. So, it was an interesting game. I want to hear both of your perspectives, Ed and David. So David, I mean, you were pretty riled up on that in that video. So let's start there. Let's talk about your experience. Where I think I saw in another video that you put up, part of your podcast, where you were talking about there were some fans above you that were dropping beer. So tell me what happened to you and your experience.
No, absolutely. I also do. I decided this year to do a vlog of the season because in our podcast, Kenneth, my partner Kenneth and I, who has been a guest of your Spanish version of this same show, I said to him, I just want to document the pain and the suffering and the ups and downs of the season. So I basically posted a lot of videos that are conductive to the behavior that you see me on that one video. So what ended up happening was, first of all, I'm a footballer. I love this sport. I wanted to grow in our state, like I told you guys before we started recording. And when I went to the game, I did not go into the game with the idea of starting fights or, I just wanted to go and enjoy myself. Because it was raining, my wife and my children decided to stay home because if you've been in Florida, you're going to get drenched. So my partner Kenneth and his family decided to join me on those tickets that I had. And so we got to the stadium, and one of the things that we noticed was our supporter section was corralled away from the rest of the stadium. They just couldn't leave that section, while everybody else, including the visitors, were free to roam around. Um, so we sat down, and the game was uneventful. There's obviously people cheering for their teams. There was a group of people, or friends. Half of them were Miami fans, half of them were Orlando fans, and we just never had any issues. When the problem started was when Miami ties the game, which
Mhm.
at that point I tell Kenneth, I said they're gonna tie the game. It's gonna be Atlanta all over. So we're going back and forth on that, and then they tie the game, and Miami ties the game. And I looked at Kenneth and I said, "See what I told you." And immediately we just, as the words leave my mouth, we're just showered with warm backwash beer. So it wasn't like cold frosty beer. It's just like stuff that has been sitting in somebody's cup for a while. And I get up, and Kenneth's wife is furious, as you can imagine, because she got dressed all dolled up, and now she is soaked like that.
All right.
So I look upstairs because we're sitting on the lower bowl, and
Okay.
I see those guys like just throwing beers and throwing cans behind them. And I looked at them and I said, "Dude, what are you doing?" And I look at security, and the first thing I said to them is like, "Look at what they're doing. That's uncalled for. If that was us, meaning Orlando City fans, which we don't have a good track record. Everybody remembers the Atlanta
Yep, it's
game
true.
last year or the year before, where people started throwing garbage on the pitch. If that would have been us, you would have banned me." One of the things that Miami fans need to understand about Exploria is they have a heavy hand with the fans because you want to keep a good environment. If you jump on the pitch, that's 5 years. Easy. That's it. You're done. If you get to touch a player in a violent way, lifetime. That's it. No questions asked. They don't care if you've been season ticket holder since the day you were born. It just doesn't matter. You throw stuff on the pitch, that's a year automatically. So there's different levels. And although you can appeal, they are like de facto. This is the rules. This is the atmosphere that we want to keep. And this is one thing that being a touristy city, I get a lot. I see a lot of people from the UK, a lot of people from Europe and Latin America that come to the games, and they always say the same thing. "Oh, what a fantastic family atmosphere. In my country, there's no way I will bring little kids or elderly. It's just too violent or too rowdy." So that happened, and I tell that to security, and security immediately, unbeknownst to me, there's an incident where somebody gets hit by a can, and that fan came to them, and the wife called security, and I finally sat down. The guys for security said, like, "Okay, calm down, whatever." And you're really mad. Just really mad. First of all, they tied the game, right? That's making me upset. But at the same time, I do not think that I deserve that. So the guy upstairs was like laughing at me, and I said, "Man, you don't disrespect me like that. I'm old enough to be your dad." That's exactly what I said to him. So we sat down. Game continued. Orlando City obviously goes ahead, and at that point, me and Kenneth, and you can see it on the TV broadcast. We look up and we say, "Come on, just drop more," because at this point it doesn't matter, right? We're already drenched in this waste. And at that point, that's when OPD, meaning Orlando Police
Mhm.
Department, and security escort them out. And I see them leaving, and I recorded a video of it, I guess, and I just didn't think much of it. Well, like about 10 minutes go by, I go to use the restroom, and on the way back, the security guard, I see the group leaving, but I don't know who they are because several different groups of Miami fans have been systematically kicked out for whatever reasons, unbeknownst to me. And the security guard taps me over the shoulder and goes, "See?" And I gave him like the okay, cool, and that was the end of that. What upset me was on the way out on social media, there was Miami fans accusing our security of being heavy-handed when I believe it was the other way around. As a matter of fact, there was podcasters calling our fan base saying, "Hey, when they come here, behave," because of the things that have happened in the past. And I
Mhm.
made the video because people were saying that I had just been a baby, that it was celebratory, it was never meant to be offensive, which it's fine. It's just the issue that you are literally pouring cups of beer on people at the bottom, and that's where I sit with my wife and my children, who are much smaller.
Right.
And my wife would have never put up with that, and my kids. That's if anybody that knows me personally, that they're my life, and I'm a hothead. If you haven't, guys,
I can
you guys
tell.
haven't already.
I got that.
So that's the story of the video. Looking back, overreactive maybe, but I happen to be Puerto Rican. I can apologize for that. I love football. It's a game of passion, and if that feeds into the fires of the rivalry, let it be so then.
There's that for sure. We could definitely, it definitely can fuel the fire a little bit. Hey, I want to, before we go too far, I should have probably played this before. One World, One Goal is kind of nicely yelling at me in the chat to play her voicemail. If anybody wants to leave a voicemail, you can do that, and the phone number will be on the screen in a minute. There it is. 786-474-4435. So let's listen to this voicemail from One World, One Goal.
Hey, Peter, Ed, and the legendary David, I believe, is this gentleman's name, from Orlando. So before everyone starts ragging on him, we do need to thank him for his service because, by the way, this is Martika from One World, One Goal. We need to thank him for his service because he is a U.S. Veteran along with Ed. He served in the Navy. That being said, I think this guy can handle a beer thrown on him and some of these other people. The issue is basically during this pandemic, we've all become, very paranoid. You see people together singing without a mask, or breaking any rules, and everyone gets very, very nervous, which I don't blame them. Had this been normal times and these were normal games, it would be fine. There's always been a fight from MLS to have a fan-friendly, family-oriented kids, and, it's difficult because then the supporters were used to coming from countries where it was mostly all adults, so everyone's throwing beer, they might be cheering in bad language, and, it's a thin line that the league has to walk. That's why the supporters groups and the away groups need to be completely separate and not interacting with any other, fan areas. That being said, we always had 2-3 people, or 520 people that were being thrown out. In the old days, it was because they brought a smoke bomb or a flag on a pole, or they were jumping on the bleachers. We weren't allowed to do anything in the old days.
Nothing.
And now they do it all and put it on television. So I used to run down and run interference all the time, the gringa, Italia. I go down and talk to the police and say, no, throw them out, but please don't arrest them. They used to arrest 20, 30 people per game. So now it's a little more civilized, but everyone has a camera phone. So I want to say I understand where the situation is, but let's focus on the good things that I think are part of the sport. And I did notice right away when there's just one person being drunk with a mascot, and it looked like Danny from the old days from the Fusionados pulled him out of the way, or somebody like that, and was immediately telling him, hey, stop it. So we do police ourselves, and I know they do get carried away, but we only want the best, and finally we're signing Higuain, and we're finally getting some action going on the team, and let's hope that next year is brighter and we all don't have to be so paranoid about the pandemic. And thank you again for your service. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Thank you. One World, One Goal. Hey, there was several comments in here, and Ed, I want to get to you in just a second, but like Natalia said that you David, you could probably handle some beer being thrown on you, no big deal. And while I would agree, you're a big enough guy, you can handle. You've probably thrown back enough of your own. You can handle some beer being tossed on you. Nobody likes it, and especially like she said in this COVID time, it's a little more sensitive. Look, I've been in the supporter side. Well, it happened actually, Ed, and when we had that open house, they only opened up one section, right? So I'm near the supporters, but I'm trying to be a little bit further away, but because I had my wife and daughter, and somebody 2 rows behind me did kind of throw their beer a little bit, and it got on me and my family a little bit. Now, I didn't get violent, but I gave them that dad look. I gave them that look like, dude, come on. You don't
want your kids, especially your kids smelling like beer.
Right.
And
what kind of dad do I look like if my 15-year-old daughter starts smelling like beer, right? So
Right.
I wasn't cool with it. I didn't get violent, didn't get necessarily mad, just turned into a dad. But Ed, we heard from David there. It's his perspective. Another thing I heard was that Inter Miami fans were being very, very vulgar, and that is just not permitted these days in this version of MLS these days. It really isn't. I mean, there's some famous Spanish chants that happen every time the goalkeeper kicks the ball, right? And I'm not going to say it, but I know MLS has worked hard to get that out of the game, out of their league. So the vulgar talk, while it may be cool with your buddies, is not so much appreciated in an MLS stadium these days, and the fans need to remember that. Ed, tell me, what was the experience for you going into Exploria Stadium? Did you find the staff there to be maybe a little too aggressive, and what was it like for you?
Yeah, I think they weren't prepared to see so many Miami fans. A lot of people had already bought their tickets. Once they became available, we can't see games over here, so we're desperate to see our team play. And so people started buying tickets, and then I guess they realized, hey, let's make a section for these guys so they can all go there. So, once people knew that there was a section available, I bought my ticket in that section. I think people decided, well, if people are going to be, if that's our designated section, well, let's all go there. So all these people that had bought tickets in different parts started going to section, I think, 109. And, well, they started checking, to see if people, were sitting there, because a lot of people were there and a lot of them were close to each other. Most of them were wearing masks and stuff, but there were a lot of people. So they were trying to first space people out, and then they started checking tickets. And once they started checking tickets, they started telling people, all right, you need to go to your designated area, the designated seats. And a lot of people didn't do that. And they did once, they did it twice, and then the third time they just said, all right, we're going to kick you guys out. So that's what happened. A lot of people, some of them tried to go to their seats, but they were directed out because they told them, look, we gave you guys a chance. You guys didn't go to your seats. You're out of here. And so that, I'd say at least half of the people that were there were kicked out. You could tell all of a sudden it got empty.
Ed, a question there. This maybe my gringo-ness here showing, but is
it always
that
shows.
No, never shows. But is that a cultural thing? Because I have a story. I was in Brazil. I was at the Atlético Perenense game against Flamengo. Great game. I bought tickets and we arrived a little bit late because the security there sucked and you couldn't get into the stadium, right? So people were in my seats. I go to my seats and I say, hey, I use my brother-in-law to speak to them because I don't speak Portuguese. But we tell them, hey, these are our seats. You need to move. And they just look at me and say, no, they're not moving. It's just like, that's why I was wondering if it's cultural in that the Latin American fans that are a little more crazy, a little more hardcore, which we have a lot of those, are just maybe a little more aggressive and just like, hey, more territorial, like, hey, man, I'm here and I'm doing whatever I want to do.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's how it is. Being Latin myself, like my parents are from Ecuador. Same thing happens there. If you're in, it's a courtesy if they're even in the right section. That's as far as I think they'll go, but they'll sit where they want. So unfortunately, people need to adapt to how MLS works and how, you guys are in the United States. You guys got to sit where your ticket tells you got to sit.
Absolutely.
So they don't do that. They're exposed, to the consequences. And
Right.
If the team kicks you out, it's because you're a hardhead and you need to adapt to the United States. This is the United States of America, guys. So you got to follow the rules, and
Exactly.
everything's cool. We followed the rules. At least the group that I was with, we were cool. We showed our tickets. That was our section. They were fine with it, even though I wasn't sitting on the chair where I was supposed to be. But I was in the actual section, and it was pretty spaced out as well. So, they were cool with us. They didn't give us a problem. Also, there were times, when they scored the second goal and Orlando went ahead, a lot of fans came and, mocked us or whatever. But you know what? You got to roll with the punches, Peter. You got to, you know what? It is what it is. They're having fun and you take it. you know?
Exactly. Hey, look, I'm coming into Orlando's house. I expect to get ribbed. I expect you to come at me verbally. Even, look, I'm not a person that appreciates cursing, but even if you do curse at me, whatever. At the end of the day, whatever. I'm in your house, right? I expect it. But it shouldn't go beyond some verbal ribbing, and it should be done in fun, right? It should never go to violence. I don't want to be wearing your beer. I don't want you touching me. I don't want any of that around me. So it's
Make fun of me from far away. Okay, fine, we can take that.
Exactly.
But,
and I'm down. And know that, David, when you come here, don't go rubbing against me.
No,
you were saying, David?
No, if you guys remember in the NASL and the USL, since I follow the Puerto Rico Football Club in that league, which also play against Miami FC,
right?
And also we share history among these leagues. Both of our cities. In USL, it was general admittance or general entry. You basically bought a ticket. You could sit anywhere that you wanted. So there's still that culture among other people. Hey, I just bought a ticket. I can just do whatever I want. But with MLS, it's different because depending on where you sit, that's how much you pay. So you're not gonna go pay for section double Z, which is the last section all the way to the top, and then want to sit in section A. It's just not gonna happen. But I'm glad to see when people get together and talk, these things happen. One of the things that a lot of people need to understand is that our county, because in our state, our governor decided to give local government the decision of what they wanted to do. Your county decided not to. Ours decided to allow fans.
Right.
Now, 25,000 and a half seats in that stadium. They're only making available 6,000 tickets. Not all the fans want to go. I work. I'm a biomedical engineer. I work installing X-ray machines, anesthesia for the veterinary industry. And I went to a clinic. The doctor, it has one doctor. Doctor is a season ticket holder for Orlando City. We were talking, and he flat out told me, "Look, I want to go desperately, but the problem is if I get sick, it takes down my business, affects my employees, affects my patients. So I'm choosing to stay behind." So the fact is that there's people that have immune compromised systems and stuff like that. They have little kids. They have grandma at home that perhaps is going through cancer or something like that. So they choose not to come. So when the county allowed the team to host people or fans, they said, okay, everybody has to be sitting within a 6-foot perimeter. So basically they said no fans in the first front rows, 4 rows. That way there's a separation between the players and the fans. And then you are going to have 2 rows empty, fans on each corner, and then 2 rows empty, and then the same thing. So people were not following that. Anybody, Miami, Orlando, or whatever other clubs we have hosted before, people were not following that. The other thing was you had to keep your mask on. So they said, okay, if you're actively drinking, this is the key, actively drinking, you can keep your mask off, or actively eating. What people were doing, keeping their mask off while holding a drink. It doesn't fly. And the problem with that is it's live television, especially the game against Atlanta, which nationally televised. And what do people see? And today, everybody has their complaint department in their pocket. So they take onto Twitter, they take onto social media, and they blast MLS, they blast Orlando City, they blast whatever team they're playing. Look at you guys. You are just basically creating a petri dish of infection, and they're going to shut everything down. So that's why they were so harsh on the fact that we have to keep the mask on and all that. Now that it explains that, now I understand why all these people were being sort of kicked out. They were given opportunities. And that also happened in the section I was in. People were told, hey, put your mask on, put your mask on. Oh, you don't want to do that? You're out of here. So that's part of the situation. Going to a game is a complete privilege at this point. And, to be quite honest, some people could understand that regardless of what team they cheer for. And just to go back, part of the reason why I was so mad about the beer was exactly that. If I get sick, there's nobody to replace me. I cover Central Florida. That means that somebody else has to come from either South Florida or the Tampa area or Jacksonville or the Panhandle to cover my territory. And there's veterinary clinics that depend on my services. So, I mean, in a way, I am doing something that my employer probably wouldn't appreciate. So why in the world will I be okay with somebody throwing their backwash on me?
Right.
You know, that's my take on that.
Right. All right. Hey, let's go back to, let's watch this video one more time, and then let's talk about the treatment of what's his name? Kingston. That's it. Because I don't know, Jamaican lion in Orlando. I don't know if that makes sense, but you can explain that to me in a minute. All right, so there you go. There's the video again of the harassment of Kingston, the Jamaican Orlando tiger lion. Look, I'm curious of your opinion, David and Ed. Is okay. So the way I looked at that, first I saw the short clip video that Vice City put up, and first off, Vice City, why'd you put that up? Why put that? And if it went up instantly, take it down. It's just bad look. I don't, even if it's out of context, it's a bad look. Take it down. And now it's too late, right? It's everywhere now, so it's done.
Just to let you guys know, I found out about the video because a Miami fan DM'd me and said, "Look, I'm so embarrassed that this happened." I had heard the guys chanting early, because this actually happened before the game started. When it comes to Kingston, when it comes to mascots in MLS, and I don't think you guys have one.
No, not yet.
They view the mascot as for the kids, a gimmick for the tourists. I've seen, actually, thanks to this experience, I've seen that there's a lot of guys that on their away days, they want the picture with the mascot of the team that they're visiting. And what ended up happening was a lot supporter group especially view Kingston as a member of their group. Fans view Kingston as a member of the family, so they didn't take a liking for that. So I saw that and I was like, wow, this is just too far, because they can say that it was all in good fun, but this is my taking a look at what the Vice City posted and what Kingston had. Kingston is a playful cat, right? That's his shtick. He comes and he plays with you, takes your hat, or if you are from the away team, he covers your badge and he's like, woo, whatever. That's his thing. And he posted, "Hey, these guys are talking, and I'm here to let them know, this is our house." But at the same time, Kingston is basically an intern. It's a kid that it's just basically there trying to earn credit for college. And when he has that hat on, he has no periphery. He doesn't see what's happening. And if you can see him, he's holding on to the rail because he doesn't know what's going on. There's a handler, there's a person that escorts him around that is taking the video for his Instagram, and he reaches out for him. And there's a member of Vice City that sort of pushes the guy away and says something, I'm assuming apologizes, "Oh, I'm so sorry," whatever. Right. And that was the end of that. So again, it was a bad night, and there was a lot of crap going on, and that happened. I personally like Kingston. I think is a symbol, a representation of our club. And based on all the crap that happened, the fights, the intimidation, the guy that was grabbing his crotch to every single woman coming out of the restaurant, that's another stuff for another day. That happening. So I'm like, well, I tweeted that to our CEO, and I say, hey, this happened. Because one of the things is Orlando City as an organization underestimated the security of all peoples involved, and also underestimated what Ed just talked about, the fact that people are people. People are people. You know what? Guess what? I bought the 4 tickets because my family was going to be with me. I ended up being with 3 people that don't live in my house. I mean, that's how it is. So people want to be with their friends. People want to watch live sports, and people are not going to follow the instructions. I'm going to tell you the truth. I tried my best to follow the instructions. Did I pull my mask down to scream at the players? Of course I did. But that's what ended up happening. It blew up. I wasn't expecting Alex Leitao to answer me. Alex Leitao is probably sick and tired of listening and hearing about me and listening to my complaints. But, when you're a season ticket holder, you hold the purse. And lastly, again, this is an opportunity for people to take a cheap jab at Miami fans. It happens to us all the time. An Atlanta fan got rowdy. He got hit. He was bloody back in 2017. Next thing you know, we all need to be in jail. So there you guys have it.
Hang on, this is unrelated, but Spanish Bull says Uncle Ed is falling asleep.
I wasn't falling asleep. I just, I'm kind of slanted-eyed, so it looks like my eyes are closed.
And that's no comment about you and your comments, David. That's just Ed staying up way too late, driving up to Orlando and back in the same day.
Coming
right?
back, yeah, man. It was a hell of a trip.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about the game now, Peter.
Well, hang on. One thing though, before we go any further, is I do want to say one thing. Is when I looked at that video, when you look at the video that Kingston posted, at first, he's playing with them and he's having fun with them, and so I could see where maybe a drunk Vice City supporter got a little carried away and took it a little too far and decided to try to stick his head up, Kingston's butt. But in reality, what I saw on Twitter is he was trying to lift Kingston up on his shoulders and have fun and party with him, right? So when you hear that, you realize that it was all in fun, the wrong kind of fun, right? They went too far, but they were trying to have fun. The analogy I'll use, and I used it in our pre-show, is that when you go to Disney, and you guys know I go to Disney all the time, Goofy's going to play with you. He's going to take your hat, and he's going to run around and goof around with you because he's Goofy. You can't touch him, though. You can't go and try and grab his hat. They will throw you out of the park, right? So, and I know that from just as when my son was like 5 years old. So this is like 26 years ago, something like that. I told him to pull on Pluto's tail because I thought it was funny, and they gave me a big no. We don't do that. Now they're not throwing a 5-year-old out of the park, but they told Dad, don't let him do that again. All right, so you don't mess around with the intern, and he's just trying to do his job and have him bring him fun. Just leave him alone. It sounded like it was all in good fun, but just leave him alone. But anyways, yeah, Ed, there was a game, and I would be interested to hear, David, some of your perspective, because I mean, Ed, what did you think about the game in total? But I know there's one specific call, 2 calls, no call, one. However you look at it, what do you think?
I think the ref was terrible. I think he called bad calls on both sides. That penalty thing, not penalty thing, he made a decision, then he changed his mind. That would have I think it would have made the game a lot better if we would have tied it, because it would have been just that more exciting. But, that call, non-call, they should have thought it through. I mean, they should have, I think you said it off camera before, they should have brought that up when they were talking about the penalty. I mean, they shouldn't have had to go back to see the VAR thing again and, and change their mind, because I think that, that made them look bad. They should have brought that up before. And I think you mentioned a little bit about that, right, Peter?
Yeah, I've never seen something like this before. First off, it's funny is I'm watching this, and my wife is in the kitchen and stuff, and we see the red card, and we see the player is not walking off the field. He's still chatting with the referee, trying to plead his case. And I said to my wife, since when has somebody pleading to the ref ever worked? Right? Since when does a ref go, oh, sorry, you're right. Let me take that card back.
Never mind. Now, let me take the red back. Right. I'm going to give you a yellow instead.
You're right. I was wrong. I'm going to put it back in my pocket. That doesn't happen. Well, it did. And maybe, and I don't know how much influence the players had in his ear. Maybe some, right? And that's why they do it. But yeah, I don't blame the ref in this call. Yes, he was not the best ref for either team. But for this call, I blame the guys upstairs, the VAR. you got to look at everything and present that to the ref so he can make the proper call. You can't present a piece and then 2 minutes later present another piece. I mean, it's just I've never seen anything like that. What did you think, David, from your perspective? Obviously, you were happy about it, but it's still weird no matter who you support.
Live, we did not know what was going on, because at least if you're watching from on TV, Peter, you have the advantage of having announcers sort of usher you along the way. Live, we did not know what happened, but this shouldn't be a surprise to Orlando City fans. Who was the VAR last night? Cristina Unco. Her and her husband, Ted Unco, are the most incompetent imbeciles that have been ever allowed on a soccer pitch. Cristina and Ted, the only place where they belong in a stadium is either working concessions or parking cars, perhaps taking out trash. Everybody knows they make decisions like this. First of all, the VAR made an incompetent decision by saying, hey, this is a PK, go ahead and do it, because at the end of the day, the ref looks like an idiot. And one of the things that people have to remember, and I don't know, you tell me, Peter, did they show the combo between the ref and the VAR, or that did not happen?
No. They didn't. They just showed the ref, obviously listening to his headset, but they never showed the guys upstairs in the VAR.
Fox wants to bring that, which I think is a fantastic idea for world football, that we, the fans, get to hear that chatter, that decision making. But, well, live, we don't get that benefit. No. So what I was told by Sergio Ruiz Torres, who is the Spanish announcer for radio, he also produces Nación Púrpura, which is basically like a news feed on Twitter and other social media outlets. And what I asked him, and what he told me was, basically, she said, okay, yes, it's a PK, which, by the way, it is a PK, Miami fans. It definitely was a PK. Clear as day. The Orlando announcers even said so. But the fact is that he was offside before that happened. So you have to call the previous infraction. Right. So we made everything null and void. Why do we have to go back to review a decision that was already made? As an Orlando City fan, I would have taken my fate. Orlando City, the bench, were already making plans of how we're going to play with the
Perea was coaching. They showed him through most of this. They showed him, and he was just sitting there with his little pegboard with his pieces moving them around. He was planning.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, he was coaching.
Once again, pro referees, and if you're new to MLS, Miami fans, if you're new to MLS, you're going to learn to hate these people. Because in a decision like this, yeah, I take the 3 points. It's a dog-eat-dog world, right? But when this goes against you, like it has done to Orlando City, where it has cost playoffs to Orlando City in 2 years in a row, in 2015, 2016, then you see these decisions and it angers you. So you are rightfully, you're in your right place to say that was bad. But the reality is that she made the mistake of not looking at the play before it happened, only the end result. Right. So, yeah, it's definitely a PK.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, if you think he's offsides, and I was even questioning that. I mean, maybe a hand. Maybe there was a hand, that was offsides. But, yeah, if he wasn't actually offsides, then, yes, it was the right call. It just was the wrong order.
Absolutely. But this happens with this couple who are why pro referees keeps using. I guess that we don't have anybody else that wants to get this gig. They're based out of Tampa. They're lawyers, so they make very good money. Like I said, I want to ask the fans, if you follow NHL, NFL, NBA, ask yourself how many refs do you know by name? If you're an MLS fan, you learn every single body. You learn their names. You know what they do for a living. You know where they live. Whoa. All that happens.
Wait a minute, David. I think you might be taking it a little too far there. I know their names, but now you're stalking them?
No, well, see, they're available on social media. The refs, this is a part-time job for them. Yes. So there's people out there that, for example, the guy that was the ref for the first meeting of Orlando and Miami in MLS's back is from Hialeah. Yep. I felt that he was a decent ref. Obviously, the result went our way. But people were like, "Oh my God, this guy is awful. This guy is biased." Orlando could have said that. If I am from Hialeah, guess what? I am blowing my whistle for Miami every single time. But that's me.
Well,
But,
no,
you know,
actually, with that ref, I remember even, I think, Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Jorge Mas made a comment about it that he was actually, our owner, was saying that referee was like trying to overcompensate, trying to make more calls against Miami just to prove that he was not for Miami.
All right.
Hey, they're all people, right? So anything, anything can happen. They're all people. But.
People are better than others. Their uncle and his wife.
And what was it like for you when you were watching this in the stand? I mean, with the emotions.
Oh man, it was intense. I mean, it was the moment when we scored was great. I mean, we tied it. It seemed like, I think we had more shots than they did. Towards the end, we started dominating, but I think they dominated in the long run throughout the whole game, which is something that we've become accustomed to. We give the ball away to the other team. We've gotten a little bit better now that we have Matuidi in there to holding onto the ball, but we're still missing that, the possession of the ball. And like I said, when we tied it, it was just, so intense, and everybody was, was pumped up. But, once they, we didn't enjoy it, but not even 5 minutes, I think. And then they tied, and, that was heartbreaking, to see that happen. And we had a little bit of hope once the penalty thing came up, but, unfortunately it didn't work out. And while we pressured towards the end, we tried to, Inter Miami tried to make something out of nothing, but they weren't able to tie, and time ran out. And that's how soccer is.
Got to talk about this comment here. Our buddy Eric Thomas coming at us saying they might need No-Dose to sponsor this segment of the show. LMFAOOO. Are we not entertaining you enough, Eric?
They're just
Are we not
haters,
entertaining?
Man. They're just hating on David, I think is what it is. They've been hating on me too. Remember I told you that I didn't have much sleep?
Yes, I think most of this is about you and your doziness.
Yeah, and I told you before the game, I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm going to be very animated in this this video because I'm tired from the trip. We went up there and then we came back immediately after. So,
yeah,
whew,
yeah,
I'm struggling.
Hey, there was one valid question in here a long time ago. Why aren't you wearing an Orlando City shirt there? I mean, what's up with you should be wearing some
David,
purple. Come on, David.
Well, I love Orlando City, but at the same time, I also, excuse me guys, the screen went dark here. I also love Stevenage. It's my English club.
Yeah.
Too. I also follow Maccabi Haifa in the Israeli Premier. I told my English friends that I was going to be here, so I just wanted to give a shout out. Anybody that wants to find out a fantastic story, how we stay up instead of being relegated on a technicality, because the team in front of us got 17 points deducted for not paying their players, is beautiful. We won 3 games. We definitely should have been relegated to the conference, but guess what? We're in the English League, and hopefully we'll get promoted this year.
Tony has a point. Is it really just the fact that you love Burger King and that's why you're wearing the shirt?
Yeah. It's a fantastic
sponsor
piece.
It's a Miami sponsor. It's a Miami company.
A lot of people are wanting to go to Burger King now because you're wearing that shirt.
There were so many comments. So many comments saying people are hungry for burgers now.
Well, you know what's a funny thing? Across the street from the Lamex Stadium, which is where Stevenage plays, there's a McDonald's. So, so that's where the fans go to eat before and after games. So
wrong sponsor then.
And Volvo is the sponsor for Maccabi Haifa, in case you guys were wondering.
All right. Well, hey, David, tell everybody how they can watch your podcast and follow you on social media.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Tiro de Esquina is our podcast, the one that I do with Kenneth. Is truly a labor of love. We wanted to fit this niche that was being ignored. The way the podcast comes to be, my friends from Orlando Lions Den, in my opinion, the best Orlando City podcast in English, invited me to translate for the manager of Orlando City B at the time, Fernando Darguila, who was a Spaniard. And at the end of the podcast, he asked me, "Hey, is there anything in Spanish? Because I want to listen." And I said no. And on the way from Mount Verde to Orlando, I was saying, if nobody's gonna do it, might as well do. I'm gonna do it. So I started by myself. Kenneth joined me. Kenneth, I knew Kenneth because he used to do a podcast called Red a la Naranja about Puerto Rico Football Club in the NASL. We're from the same hometown. He happened to move to Orlando. We got together, and week after week, we create this podcast. People say that we just create hate. People say that we make too much fun of the opposition. People say that we're not serious because, two Puerto Ricans talking about football to a lot of people just doesn't sit well, but we're creating a following in the United States and Latin America. So it's Tiro de Esquina. If you speak Spanish, I don't have to spell it for you. It means corner kick in Spanish. And as far as my personal social media, well, I don't think anybody wants to follow me, so that's it.
well, it's on the screen anyways. So
yeah, there you go.
It's on the screen. They can see it anyways. Hey, the comments in the chat, just before we go, we got to touch on, we're close to signing Higuain. It sounds like it's a done deal. He was in Miami. He arm around, no social distancing with Jorge Mas. He was at the stadium meeting with Alonso. You got to admit, David, if we get Higuain, I can't say his name, Higuain, you guys going to see a different Inter Miami. What do you think? What do you think of that signing for MLS and for Inter Miami in general?
Peter, like I was telling you, all jokes to the side,
yeah.
I'm a football fan, and like I told you, 90 minutes rivals, friends for a lifetime. Right. I'm also a Floridian. I want football to grow in our state, and how that happens is when we have successful teams. A bad Orlando City and a bad Inter Miami are bad for business. We gotta keep people motivated. We gotta fill the stadiums, and we do that by bringing good talent. I think it's a fantastic signing for you guys. When we brought Nani, the experts, and this is one of the things that the fans need to learn, not to listen to the experts. The experts, especially the ones that get paid by MLS, are going to push the agenda from HQ. When we signed Nani, they're like, oh, he's old, he's done, he's not the signing I would have done. In my opinion, probably the best Orlando City player in the history of the club. So those things happen. He may be a bust. We never know. But if you don't risk, you're never going to find out.
No, I was going to say the best signing your club has ever made is Oscar Pareja.
Oh, yeah.
That's because you guys have been crap forever, okay?
Yeah.
You have to admit that. You've never made the playoffs. Obviously, this is so far the year, right? You guys have turned it around. Everybody looked at Orlando on the schedule and said, skip that one. It's an easy win. No big deal. We were even joking around saying, we're not going to get a rivalry with Orlando. We're going to skip them and just go straight to Atlanta because we're going to be good and they're going to suck. Well, surprise. It's the other way around. We suck. You guys are good.
No, I met Oscar Pareja.
He's been great.
Season, Kenneth and I got to tell you, I can see why the players fall in love with this man. We talked to him for 20 minutes. He didn't have to give us time. We're just fans. Sign my scarf. Okay, guys, God bless. Take a picture. Done. And he just talked to us, wanted to know about us. In the end, he said, okay, guys, we got to take a picture together. He wanted to take a picture with us. We did. And then after that, he said, remember, the era of losing ends now. Orlando City had a successful 4 years in USL, winning championships every year. We all, including myself, were expecting to come into MLS with the same attitude. Mismanagement, bad signings, and a bunch of different. We could be here for hours. Created these problems. I know you guys are having your issues, but to tell you the truth, I'm exhausted. I really want playoffs. I want to win. If I'm sorry, it's bad. It's as bad as it is. It's hard to feel pity on somebody else when everybody has been crapping on us for 5 years.
Yeah, and footballer appreciates my diplomatic way of calling you guys crap.
Throughout the years.
Well, anyways, all right. Well, hey, Tuesday, Ed, we got a show, right?
We got a show on Tuesday. We're going to be talking in Spanish about this game, and it should be fun. But I want to thank David for being on the show. It was awesome. We owe you guys a beer because we had made a bet with Kenneth and you guys won. So next time we're up there, if you guys come down, we will. Peter will pay for the the beers.
Football Miami TV will pay.
Yeah, there we go. So good seeing you, man, and hope nobody pours beer on you anymore ever.
No, because if I pop positive this week when I get tested, I'm gonna go after that guy. So watch out.
Well,
all right, let's not talk like that. Let's not even say that. Hey, real quick before we go, we didn't plan on going this long with you, David, but you were a great guest, so we decided to keep you on the whole time. But I had plans to talk about some other things. But so before we end the show, I do want to mention the beginning of phase 2. The schedule's out. We're playing Atlanta September 19th. In Atlanta, then we're playing Red Bulls. We're finally playing somebody out of the southern region here on September 23rd, and then Philadelphia September 22nd, 7th. And Philadelphia's been tough for us, right? So that should be a fun game. And we did so much there was so much negativity. We focused on a lot of negativity tonight, right? The kind of the fan support that needs to be better. Inter Miami fans, when we travel to Orlando, we've got to be a little bit nicer. No beer throwing. Even if you go into a stadium where the guards are a little bit aggressive, you can't control that. All you can control is you and your actions. So control your actions, be responsible, don't throw beer on anybody, watch your language, don't mess around with the mascot. But one of the things that did happen, Ed was involved with, that was a lot of fun, and we spoke to Conga Man on our live stream that we did at the stadium, and he was a fun guy, plays congos, he's got a great look about him and all that. So I want to end it with this little ditty here. Some of the, I think it was that the Southern Legion he was with, Ed?
Yeah. We went there towards the downtown area, and we found a corner. The cops were really cool with us. They're like, no beer, but we did a little drum circle thing there, and people came along. They were dancing. It was a fun time. So it's good to see this video.
All right, here we go. Here. And Tony says, guys, we didn't talk any football tonight. Well, we did, because, it's not always about what's on the field. And we did touch on it a little bit this time. The excitement was really what's happening in the stands. So, we'll get back to the actual kicking the ball more next week, I'm sure. Right? But, hey, everybody, thanks so much for sticking around watching this video. Everybody that was in the chat, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. I see a couple thumbs downs. I'm not sure why we got those, but anyways, that's okay too. So thumbs up on this video. It helps David's the algorithm. Oh, maybe it is. But but thank you, David, for joining us. And please like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you all next week when we do this again. And Ed will see you on Tuesday. See you later, everybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for the invitation again. One thing that people need to remember is when you buy your ticket.